At her daughter, who makes the better pizza. She said she wanted pizza for lunch, but she said, is it okay if I make it because I make it better? Now, I really love your confidence here, but in what world do you think you can make a pizza better than me? While you're at school learning that a squared plus b squared equals c squared, I'm at home living and breathing carbs. So I made the dough and sauce for us, which kind of feels like I'm giving her a head start, but she's gonna need it. And because I know my child, I knew she'd go simple with this, so I went a little more unique with goat cheese and hot honey. She doesn't like spicy foods, so I knew this was going to come around and bite me in the judging. We also chose different equipment. I am a cast iron fanboy, and she went with the classic pizza tray. I got a little crazy with the garnish. You know, as they say, dress to impress. She kept it simple, just cheese and herbs. Now the voting was skewed, so I immediately demanded a recount. Just because you don't like spicy foods and goat cheese doesn't mean that's my problem. We're gonna need a rematch. I will not be defeated. Bagels have the most insane history, and you need to know about it. During the Middle Ages, the Jewish population was migrating to Poland. The Christians were like, I guess this is okay, but do not touch our bread, because we view it to be holy. So local government and the church actually prevented the Jews from baking bread at home. The church went as far as telling people they shouldn't consume bread baked by Jews because it was poison. So one day in the 1200s, the Jews were like, you know what? This is bullshit. We gotta find a way around this. So they realized if they poke a hole out in the center and they boil it first, they could call it something else, and it wasn't traditional bread. A hole in the center also made them cook more evenly and allowed them to be hung up and stacked for sale. So the history is important because it was a big FU to the man. While I made jumbo bagels, I'm most proud of this tiny one. I made it from leftover dough. Today, I hope you learned that the history of a food is just as important as the food itself. There's two things I don't normally fuck with, mayonnaise and soup, and today I'm making both of them. Soup just never really seemed like much of a meal to me, and food chunks just floating around in broth doesn't sound that appealing. My hatred of mayo is a little more nuanced in that I think I just hate the stuff in the jar. I think fresh mayo is much, much better, but who has time for that? I do. These veggies are going to be the base of our soup, and I threw in a jalapeno so it's a little spicy. When it's spicy, my kids won't eat it, and there's more for me. Once all this is mixed together, you're going to go ahead and roast it until it's roasted. I don't remember how long it took. Why do you always ask me questions like that? Now, since I didn't buy my wife flowers this week, we're gonna go ahead and use the flour vase to make the mayo. The key ingredients for that are eggs, oil, and other things. Make sure to use more cheese than you think you need. That's what your veggies should look like. Since chunky soup is for the birds, we're gonna go ahead and dump everything back into this flour vase, and we're just gonna blend it up until it's smooth. I added a piece of sourdough and some chicken broth to get it to the consistency that I wanted. Cook the sandwich low and slow so that cheese actually melts. And that's today's episode of Foods That Usually Suck. Today my kids wanted Raising Cane's, so I ignored them and made them birria tacos. For years I've argued that Italian food is superior to Mexican, but I think I'm starting to change my mind. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but Mexican food has had the biggest glow up. Instead of just tacos and enchiladas, people seem to genuinely care about traditional dishes. But as a white guy from New Jersey, what do I know? Traditionally, this dish is made with goat. When the Spanish conquistadors got to Mexico, they brought a bunch of goats with them. They were like, yo, check out these goats. We don't eat them, but they're pretty sick. At one point, they gifted a large herd to the indigenous population. And what a move that was. Taking over an entire country and being like, sorry about that, here's some goats. So the locals stuck it to them and impressed the hell out of them with birria, which actually means useless, which is hilarious. So that's your history lesson for today. Once the meat is seared, we're gonna put it back in this pot and slow cook it for like 4 or 5 hours. So if you suddenly find yourself with 6 hours of nothing to do, this is the perfect meal for you. I never claimed this was easy. I've also never made this before, but I'm convinced I can cook anything. I think it's really easy for anyone who makes cooking videos to tell you that what they made is delicious. But I hope that at this point in our friendship, you know that you can trust me to be honest with you. So when I say this is the best meat that I've ever made, I really do mean it. And because I'm always looking for compliments, I served up a tray of it to our housekeepers and they told me I need to open a birria stand. And let me tell you, after hearing that, my head's never been bigger. I thought the different color tortillas was cool, but after dipping them in the consomme, you can't even tell. I hate when extra effort goes unnoticed. I really wish that every one of you could try these tacos. Maybe you can when I open my birria stand.